Welcome back to the 815 Exchange. I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 336 once again for another episode of the 815 Exchange. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm so relieved to be finally on the second episode. Thank you for all the support on the first. Thank you for all the love. I appreciate it. But as that was kind of like my template for my practice episodes, and I practiced for a couple weeks, you do get tired of talking about the same thing. I mean, the topics changed a little bit because I changed it with whatever happened in life or whatever. But having to explain what the podcast is about and then go through everything was a bit tiring. So I'm glad to finally be able to relax and enjoy my time here hosting the 815 Exchange. Got a big recap. As you can see, we do have a new water sponsor for the week. Deer Park, unfortunately, did not run the check. I know, shocking. Millions of people watched the Exchange. Millions of people, it was critically acclaimed last week's episode. Beloved by many. I know the whole world saw it. But yeah, Deer Park didn't want to run the check. So, Dasani, thank you for sponsoring today's episode unofficially. First water break. Y'all can keep track at home if you watch this full thing. Oh, another thing I'm going to add in the YouTube description, because I get it, this is long form content, and if you do not have like 40 minutes, because not everybody's got 40 minutes to spare or whatever, I am going to leave timestamps for the YouTube version, the visual portion of this, so that you can just skip to whatever topic or whatever you want to hear me talk about. I feel like that'll be maybe able to make it easier. I know that'll help. I know that's something I would like from a podcast or from a show that I'm watching if I was looking for a certain thing. So I'm going to do that for you guys. But yeah, what else? For all my college age people, I know y'all are heading back. Stay safe. I know Corona going crazy. Thank you for the love, and I think that's about the intro. The Wheel makes its return once again. Not as many topics this week. A lot of duplicates. I will have this like other sports section and talk kind of like a quick rundown at the very end of this about some of the stuff I really didn't have a lot to talk about, but I had little stuff. But we got Champions League, NBA, UFC 252, the NHL, music and film. And those are our main topics for the week. Some, of course, more than others, per usual. But without further ado, let the show commence with spin of the wheel. All right. Probably the thing I got the most to talk about, besides I guess the Champions League. That's the NBA. It's the big one. For sure. The playoffs start actually today. It is currently 11:52 as I'm recording this. It's Monday. I think there's a game at 1:30 or so. But yeah. So the NBA. Start off by I put into one of my group chats with some of my friends who was the bubble MVP. I think I had Dame, TJ Warren, Luka, D-Book, and then I may have just done like another category. It was resounding, and of course he ended up being officially named bubble MVP. Damian Lillard, what a tear he's been on. Let me see if I can pull up his averages for the bubble actually. But Dame has been on an absolute tear. How many? It feels like he's averaging 40 every game, to be honest. In the game against the Grizzlies this past Saturday, the play-in game, which was a great game if you watched. Josh showed out. He should be the Rookie of the Year in my opinion. We'll see. I love Zion. That's my guy. I'm a Duke guy. But he didn't play enough games, and Josh played well enough, so it's not like, a robbery. But Dame and CJ McCollum, awoke. Him and Melo came through in the clutch and really put through. Joseph Nurkic had a big game. Those three alongside Dame are really going to tell a story about how well they do. If they can play at the level they played on Saturday, they might be able to do some damage against the Lakers. I'll get to that very shortly. All right, Dame's averages for the bubble were 37.3 points, 9.6 assists, and 4.3 rebounds a game. He shot 50% from the field, 44% from the three-point line, and he was a unanimous selection from all 22 media members. But yeah, I can't really argue with Dame as bubble MVP. Dominant. Got the Blazers the 8th seed. I guess honorable mention to the Suns, who went undefeated in the bubble. But unfortunately lost too many games during the actual regular season. And end up coming to haunt them. I wonder if they think, hey, if we'd have won one of those games earlier in the season, which feels like last season at this point, to be honest, with the break, maybe they'd be in the playoffs. But I think that was a good run for them. Good for them to have this experience, like Devin Booker said, like DeAndre Ayton have said in the media. This was a good experience for the Suns and helping them see what it's like to play in these big games, in these pressure-packed situations, and they were perfect. Unblemished record. They got a good young core, so I think the Suns are definitely going to be much, much, much better next year. So yeah, I look forward to that. Alright, so for the first round matchups, I'm going to do some predictions. Of course, that naturally means, and I apologize for the fans of these teams ahead of time, your team is probably going to lose, except for if I don't miss. Maybe, I'm built different, and the Lord just wants to bless me with, I'm a prophet. However, I wouldn't be surprised if I jinx a couple teams here. But, of course, we're going to start off in the West. It's the strongest side by far. No offense to the East, but that's how it's been for the past 1,000 years, it feels. But yeah, we got LeBron's Lakers versus Dame's Blazers in the 1 versus 8. And like I said earlier, if the Blazers, if Dame can step up, especially if CJ can step up, Nurkic needs to be a presence. Of course, it's Melo. Melo got to be Melo. They might be able to make it interesting. I wouldn't be surprised. The Lakers have not been their best. However, as I've mentioned before in the previous episode, playoff LeBron is one of the most dangerous people in the world. Pop up my graphic. He's another beast. It's been a year, so I know a lot of people have forgotten, but 40-point triple-doubles for everybody. I wouldn't be surprised if he does it again here. Plus, he's got AD. I'm very interested to see in this series, however, the Lakers' depth. I'm not completely sold on how deep they are. So I want to see. I still think the Lakers are going to win. If I had to pick somebody, I'd say the Lakers are going to be the Blazers in this series. But I want to see how the Lakers deal depth-wise when Bron isn't out, because that's when they've struggled, or when AD isn't out. How do the other players on the team pick up the pieces and are able to be effective? The next matchup, we got one of my most interesting matchups of the first round, which is the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Dallas Mavericks. The Clippers have long been and were my preseason NBA Finals favorites, but they've had moments where they've struggled a lot this season. Maybe it's a thing where they'll turn it on here as we get into the playoffs, but they haven't looked as good as I thought the Clippers would look this season. Still got a lot of great players, still got great depth. Of course, they got the two best perimeter defenders, as literally every sports media outlet will tell you. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, who are also just some of the best players in the league. Pat Bev is a nuisance. Nobody likes him, but he's good at what he does, I suppose. Of course, we got Trez. He was a 6th Man of the Year candidate. Same thing with Lou Will. As long as Lou Will's not at Atlanta strip clubs with Jack Harlow eating lemon pepper wings, the Clips should be good in the series. I want to see how Luka and the Unicorn Kristaps Porzingis. I want to see how him and Porzingis do. I think that could be. I mean, they could stretch it out to like a 6-7 game, especially if Luka plays the way he's played since the bubble started and he's played really the whole season. And if they can get Kristaps going, that duo might be able to do some damage to the Clippers. I would still pick the Clippers, but I wouldn't be shocked. Another series I could see it being competitive. The next matchup is Denver versus Utah. I feel like they had in the bubble, I think they had a game that went to like overtime. Didn't they go to... I feel like the Nuggets and the Jazz went to overtime. In the bubble, actually. That was like a pretty competitive game, if I recall. I mean, maybe I'm tweaking, but... we gonna look that up real quick. Yeah, they did. They went to overtime and the Nuggets won. Yeah, I remember that game. Dame... Spider missed the game winner. Well, he didn't really miss the game winner. It was a tough shot. Whatever. I think just as that bubble game went, it'll be a very good series, very fun series to watch. Again, Michael Porter Jr., another player that's playing incredible. I think he was all bubble second team. His emergence has been big for the Nuggets. I think they get past the Jazz. Sorry to Spider and the tall Frenchman. That gave everybody Corona. But I gotta take the Nuggets here. In the last matchup of the first round, the Rockets versus the Thunder, which would be a great series if we weren't at the bubble, because it would mean Russ is going home. Harden would be going home. Not as in they're getting sent home, but as in they're going back to Oklahoma City. It'd be a nice little reunion. Same thing with CP3. He spent his stint with Houston. This one's a little bit more difficult. I'm gonna still take the Rockets here if I had to pick a team. But CP3 has worked wonders for the Thunder team. They got Shy as well. Steven Adams, of course, is always a pretty consistent factor. They got a pretty good team over at OKC in Oklahoma City. However, I got to take Houston. The small ball's worked. I think Harden and Russ will be able to do enough. One of the best duos in the league. Obviously, I think they do enough to get past. Now we kick it over to the East. We got the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Orlando Magic. I really don't have much to say about this one. I think everybody's going to pick the Bucks here. This is the 1 versus 8 seed. With all due respect to the Magic, but Giannis and the Bucks. That's all I really got to say about that one. The next matchup is the Raptors versus the Nets. Karis LeVert's played pretty well recently for the Nets, I know. But everybody knows the Nets season is next year with KD and Kyrie back. We'll see how those two go. KD featured in the Drake music video, which I'll be getting to later in music and film. Yeah, I got the Raptors, defending champs. They played well. Spicy P, Lowry, you know how it goes. Next matchup, And what is the best matchup? The best matchup of the first round. I'm going to say it. The Boston Celtics. I didn't even know this. The Boston Celtics take on the Philadelphia 76ers. That's a great matchup for the first round. Of course, the Celtics got Kemba. They got Jason Tatum. They got Jaylen Brown. On the other hand, the Sixers have the GOAT, the greatest player of all time, the man that is single-handedly carrying the bubble, with all due respect to T.J. Warren and Damian Lillard. Of course, I'm talking about former Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, Matisse Thybulle. Embiid. Actually, somebody is missing for the 76ers, if I'm correct. I believe. Is it Ben? Yeah, Ben Simmons is hurt. I had to make sure I was right with that. Still a very interesting series. I mean, they still got Embiid. They still got players in Philly, but with Ben Simmons out, I mean, that changes a lot. If I had to pick, I'm going to go with the Celtics. I just realized I've taken all of the higher seeds, which is absolutely not going to happen because this is the NBA playoffs. But you know what? It is what it is. I think Boston's better than Philly. All due respect. Unfortunately, that means the bubble vlogs would end with Matisse. But I think that Ben Simmons loss is going to be too much for the Sixers to overcome. And, of course, Tatum and Brown have been phenomenal. Yeah. And then the last matchup of the first round, and my last prediction here, we got the Indiana Pacers versus the Miami Heat. The Heat literally just beat the Pacers the other day. Of course, we got the TJ Warren, Jimmy Buckets beef. Butler, who's been, I think he's been a little banged up here in the I was gonna say quarantine. We're still in quarantine, but the bubble. But Tyler Hero and Bam, great young core. Miami's building. Definitely two players I think they can build around in the future. Of course, they got the best shooter, or one of the best shooters. Yeah, one of the best shooters in the league. Yeah, I'm going to say one of the best shooters in the league. Duncan Robinson, of course, he's a sniper. However, the Pacers do have, once again, one of the most dangerous people in the world, Pop-Up Graphic. I did it last time over there, dang. Anyways, Pop-Up Graphic. Most dangerous people in the world, which is Bubble TJ Warren. He was going crazy, and if Dame hadn't eked out that A seed, probably would have won Bubble MVP. But, however, I'm going to take the Heat. I'm going to say the Heat pull off. I guess it's an upset. I'm not sure. Technically, on seeding, it's an upset. I mean, you be the judge. I'm going to take the Heat. I think they showed they can contain TJ Warren. Of course, the Pacers' main guy is Depot. But I think they'll be able to handle that. And then I've been impressed by Miami's depth and the people they have besides the star players, besides Jimmy. I think Bam and Harrow and Duncan Robinson, all those guys can do enough to help get them over the Pacers. So I got the Heat in that one. And yeah, those are my first round predictions. We'll come back to these and see if I was right, see how many I missed. Absolute scenes, if I missed every single one of them. Again, sorry if I just jinxed your favorite team. It is what it is. With that said, we're going to move on to the next topic. Ooh, yes. UFC 252 is the next topic. I'm very excited to talk about this one. Honestly, compared to the previous cards that we've had in the UFC, really this whole year, it's been a great year for the UFC. But in this weird time where they've been at the Apex or they've been at Fight Island, this was honestly one of the weaker cards, I would say. Though, crazy enough, Kai Kamaka, who fought in the first fight of the night, won performance of the night, I believe. He won. That one fight of the night. He won performance of the night. That was a great fight. I normally don't watch. I mean, if I see something intriguing or somebody I really want to see, that's when I watch the prelims. I usually just watch the main card, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, and I catch the highlights of the prelims. But I did want to watch that one, and it paid off. I got lucky, I guess. But to get to the major stuff at hand, here on the main card, Jairzinho Rosenstrike KO JDS, which was sad to see because, again, before every single UFC event, like many other people, I watch the UFC Embeddeds. They're great media platform, a great way of helping build hype and build promotion. in sort of a unique way and kind of show you what's going on behind the scenes, what the fighters, are doing the week before the events. JDS he looked great out there, and of course he's a great guy, like I was saying, based off what we see on Embedded. And yeah, it was sad to see because he was looking good in the fight versus Rosenstrike up to the KO, but Rosenstrike, it was good to see him get that notion back after he got sent, like many other people have been sent to the nether realm by a guy I need to add to the most dangerous men on the planet, Francis Ngannou, who you know from great hits such as nearly murdering Alistair Overeem. I'll pop a picture of that up here, and I will add him to the most dangerous men in the world graphic. Got to. Ngannou sent Rosenstrike to the Netherrealm last event. Rosenstrike came back with a vengeance. He knocks out JDS. Sad to see. It's kind of tough because you see the age and you see some of the damage I guess JDS has been taking over the past couple fights and all that stuff. But it's like he still looks good. He still looks healthy. So you want him to keep fighting. But for his legacy, he's lost 3 straight. So it's like, is it time? Should he just, personally, it's tough for me because my personal bias of JDS being still a pretty good fighter in probably one of the weaker divisions in the UFC right now, which is the heavyweight division. But it's kind of hard to argue with 3 losses at his age. The next fight on that card was the Sugar Show versus Chito Marlon Vera. And the Sugar Show looked like he was going to put on another great performance, continue building the hype train, until people are still arguing on what it was exactly, or if it was his knee, was it his leg, was it his foot, was it his ankle. All we know is something was compromised, and the Sugar Show has been put to a halt. Chito Vera, I'm not going to lie, rubbed me the wrong way with the way he celebrated that. He got the TKO, but only because the man, Sean O'Malley, could not walk. I don't know what adrenaline he was on because he was in visible pain when the fight was ended. But Chito Vera was acting like he just like he hit Aldo with the left hand. I don't like it wasn't that impressive, bro. And you were losing the round. Like we didn't really see much. It was only 3 minutes into the fight when it got stopped. But you weren't looking like all that like you were about to win. With all due respect. So I don't really understand the whole, hey, what hype now? It's the Cheeto Show. Like, I just hope he can back it up. I know there's a lot of people that don't like Sean O'Malley, so they're, riding for Cheeto right now. But Cheeto arguably got robbed in his last fight. He won under suspicious circumstances here. And he's talking a big game like he's the one. So he'll get what he wants, which is a top 10 opponent. However, if you get clowns, I don't want to hear it. I would not be surprised, to be honest, because he didn't really look that impressive. And everything I've seen him in, he doesn't look like who he says he is. But we'll see. Maybe he was going to make some necessary adjustments. He was going to blow me away. Again, unfortunately, we had crazy injuries happen all the time. Hope the Sugar Show can resume when he gets back. He's had some tough setbacks, still immensely talented. Losses, I think, in combat sports should not mean, I know everybody loves the undefeated fighter, but if we look back into the great fighters of all, they've taken losses and they've come back stronger. So praying for the Sugar Show, praying for Sean O'Malley and his camp can have a clean rehab and get right back in there. But the big fight for UFC 252, of course, was Daniel DC Cormier, one of the greatest mixed martial artists, one of the best combat sports athletes of all time. Took on the greatest heavyweight of all time, Stipe Miocic, in the trilogy. Of course, DC won the first, Stipe won the second, regained the title. And here again, Stipe wins by, I believe, unanimous decision. Little controversial. Not really for me. I had Stipe winning it, I had Stipe winning it. I feel like the first and fourth rounds were really the toss-up rounds, but I had Stipe winning the second, third, and fifth. I felt like he was in control more. He outstruck DC. Of course, the big thing from that fight, and was something that was a big thing in all of the fights and throughout the trilogy, were eye pokes. And that's something that the UFC needs to address. Because of the way that the gloves are fitted, when you relax your hands, so some of these eye pokes aren't even intentional, but the way that the glove fits, when you relax your hands, instead of your hands going in like this, they go like this. So you might not even be intentional, but if you're just relaxing your hands and you're fainting, and you go like that, easy eye poke. And that appears that possibly, I don't really know. We had two of them in this past fight. It was still a phenomenal fight, one of the best heavyweight fights I've seen. And probably think the best fight, obviously, of the trilogy. But that eye poke nearly took out DC's eye. He said he couldn't see. So that definitely had an effect on the fight. However, I think Stipe is a worthy champion. He's the younger champion. This was DC's last fight, so it would have been nice to see him go out on top and all the glory. But if there's anybody to lose to, Stipe is not a bad one. Crazy thing about DC's career, everybody he lost to at every level has been the greatest of all time, I think, in their medium, in that certain, section or whatever you want to call it. In wrestling, back in DC's wrestling days, the person that prevented him from being an NCAA champion was the legendary Cael Sanderson. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Probably the greatest wrestler of all time. Or Olympic wrestler. That type style of all time. Freestyle, folk style. It's different mediums, so you can really argue that. But I think Cael's probably the best NCAA wrestler of all time. Undefeated record, I think over 100 wins, dominant. He was the guy that prevented DC from winning the NCAA championship, only person he lost to. Same thing in the Olympics. Cael again. And then when he came to the UFC, he ran the Strikeforce, all the glory. The only people he couldn't beat are John Jones, who's considered, despite all of his, let's call them antics, one of the greatest fighters of all time, regardless of what you think. I think that's the only thing we can really agree with him about. Or at the very least, the greatest light heavyweight of all time, John Jones is. DC couldn't beat John. And then heavyweight, the only person he lost to was Stipe, who's the best heavyweight in the UFC of all time. Of course, there's a lot of arguments for Fedor and him possibly being the best heavyweight of all time. But again, I'll leave that up to you and what you think. You tell me who's the greatest heavyweight you think in MMA history. Leave that in the comments or whatever. So that was UFC 252. I'll take a water break as I spin away. Alright, cool. This is a very short one. Music and film. Of course, the big thing in music this week. Besides that WAP music video, which was a very good music video. Shout out to Cardi and Meg. They actually just went number 1 on Billboard. That was announced not too long ago. So, congrats to them. Laugh Now, Cry Later. My guy. The Sixth God is back. And he's back with Durkio. Lil Durk was featured on the track. Durk had a great feature. At first I was like, at first listen, I was not blown away by the song. I was like, alright, it's pretty good. But as I listened to it again, and now I can't stop listening to it, and of course the now probably iconic Baby from Drake, it's stuck in my head. I can't get enough of that song right now. Drake and Dirk were in their bag. Great verses from both. Great beat selection. I forget who produced it, but he definitely did his thing on that. The music video is my favorite music videos of the year. Aggie Abby, we had OBJ, my guy Drewski, one of the funniest people on the internet right now. Marshawn Lynch, we had KD looking very healthy. I saw something on Twitter that was, somebody said KD had Drake in the gulag in the music video. But good to see KD's back. Those two Benzes were crazy. Those look like spaceships that Drake had. Those are concept cars. Those aren't even released. And then like turning the Nike World headquarters into a personal playground, that's a different type of flex. But we knew this is Drake. I mean, he's on a different level. The album's called Certified Lover Boy, which is a very Drake album name. But I mean, it kind of bangs. It's alright. It's cool. But yeah, a very interesting decision to make that the lead single. I was kind of shocked about that. But it was a good song. It felt like, I'm not going to be one of those people. I hate to be one of those people that's like, oh, the old Drake, because I appreciate all the evolutions of Drake so far in his career. That's my guy. But it did kind of feel like his earlier work, which was nice. I'm not going to say that's like it makes it better than what he's released in the past 5 years or whatever. But yeah, good stuff. Laugh Not Cry Later. We'll see where it charts. It might go number 1. I wouldn't be shocked if it doesn't though. We'll see. Again, nothing's going on in the film world, so not really much to talk about there. But I did see on Twitter, I am currently watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. And watch it, but you don't know what you were missing out on. Fire. Super fire. The showrunners for that show, apparently Netflix was making a live action version. But the showrunners for the cartoon series have left it. And it was this big thing about creative differences. Apparently Netflix has some I'm not gonna lie, some weird demands for what they wanted in the show. I think that were kind of unnecessary. I really don't think. I'd be interested to see who is casted and how it goes, because I really don't think it needs a live action series, so to speak. But yeah, Netflix's demands were kind of weird. They were like aging them up. They wanted violence and sex, and it was just a bunch of stuff that was like kind of takes away from the original message and what the cartoon series represented and what it was. So I'm really skeptical about that project. We'll see what happens though. It may get canceled. They may go for it. We'll see. Yeah, that's all for music and film. So we only got 2 major topics left, I believe. Champions League and NHL. We'll see how long it takes me to roll. Alright, so for the last roll of the wheel, as if you see me looking over here, I'm not gonna lie, I have this screen / monitor set up, and it shows me what I'm looking like in the camera, because I don't have the camera facing me because it's a little bit away. I think the battery just died, so that's what I was looking at. I'm gonna go fix that. Alright, so for the Champions League, a lot to talk about here. Again, like I said in the previous episode, if you're looking to get into soccer, watch the Champions League right now. A lot of good stuff going on. I'm going to start off with the big one at hand here. And if you follow me on Snapchat, or if you follow me on Twitter, you saw me talking about it. An absolute murder. A murder. Bayern Munich. I knew they were going to beat Barca. I didn't think it was going to be this bad. This was a slaughter. 8-2 in a soccer, or for my Europeans, football. 8-2? Oh my goodness. Bayern obliterates Barca. They got a lot of problems. Setien was fired after the match. They signed today, again, breaking news, about an hour ago. Ronald Koeman, he used to play for Barcelona back in the 80s, early 90s, I believe. Won a couple titles. 12 titles, actually. He's the current Netherlands manager, so that's a pretty good pickup, I think. However, Barca needs changes bad. Messi is threatening to leave. It would be very weird. I don't know if he's actually going to leave. Pretty reputable source said he wants to leave. We'll see. We'll see. That's all I can really say about that is we'll see. I'm not sold on it happening, but I don't know who's going to pick up the wages, and it'd be really weird to see him in a jersey that's not Barcelona. So 8-2, Bayern, they're my favorites. I've said that from day one. They got the most complete team. They got the goalkeeper, the legendary Manuel Neuer. They got the defense. They got the midfield. And, of course, they got the best striker on God's green earth. And the guy that should have won the Ballon d'Or if they hadn't canceled, Robert Lewandowski. All right. 3-1. Olympic Lyon stuns Man City. Raheem Sterling. Shout out to, first off, Moussa Dembélé. He showed out when he came in, did what he's supposed to do. Awar from Lyon, very special young player. I'll see if he stays. I would not be surprised to see him get picked up by a big club. He's special. But Raheem Sterling, world-class 20-goal scorer, had one of the worst misses. One of the worst misses I have ever seen in a soccer game. It was bad. It was bad. You watching at home, you watching in that camera, you would have made the shot, no doubt. Easy money. I would have made it. My grandmother would have made it. My great-grandmothers would have made it. I don't know how Raheem Sterling missed that. Of course, Lyon scored a minute after that miss, and it was like 85th minute or whatever. But yeah, Lyon stuns Man City. My prediction for the Bayern-Lyon match, of course, I think Bayern's going to win the whole thing, so I got Bayern. But it's the Champions League, as we can tell, anything can happen. 2-1 PSG over Atalanta. Neymar, masterclass, 16 people taken on. He was phenomenal. Mbappe, again, wasn't sure if he was going to play. He came off the bench. Game changer. They couldn't keep up with his pace. He had the assist. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. Notorious, he also had one of the worst misses ever that I've ever seen. But he was clinical against Atalanta, and all this happened. Both goals happened in stoppage time. Again, phenomenal game. Atalanta, the Cinderella of the Champions League this year. Stunned by PSG. They did their thing. And of course, Leipzig took out Atletico. Another American, a great American talent, Tyler Adams, in the 88th minute with a go-ahead goal to send Cholo in his Atletico Madrid. Shout out to Joe Felix. He had a good game, but they didn't really do much for him. He did have the penalty he scored when he came in. But yeah, Leipzig, great performance. Very surprised to see them go through without Timo, but that shows that it wasn't just the Timo show at Leipzig. It was a great team. That game against PSG they got coming up is going to be very interesting. PSG might be without Di Maria. He might be back. Keylor Navas, wondering if he's going to be healthy. Verratti's likely not going to be healthy. I don't know. I want to pick PSG because that Neymar-Mbappe duo I think is the best in the world. That's the best duo in the world in my opinion. And they can make magic, but I don't know, man. Leipzig has been so good this year in the Champions League. They've done a great job. And anything can happen. I want to say PSG, but I would not be shocked if that is where the upset happens this week. Also, all Bundesliga and all Liga 1, all German and French league for those not keeping up. Final, which are usually the two considered like the weakest leagues in Europe. Nicknamed Farmers Leagues, as Kylian Mbappe had said here. I'll pop that tweet up. And then Manchester United in the Europa League lost yesterday to Sevilla. So I have to wonder about the Premier League. Who are the real farmers? What is really the Farmers League? Can't be France. They got 2 teams in the Champions League semifinals. Can't be the Bundesliga. They got 2 teams in the Champions League final. England, what's going on? What's going on? Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Man U, what's going on? What's going on? And yeah, that about covers Champions League. Of course, I got one topic left, so I'm not even going to bother spinning this. And that is the NHL. Very quick, this is ongoing. Their first round just started. It's real tough for my Hurricanes fans. We're facing the Bruins right now, but Andrei Shechnikov? There we go. Andrei Shechnikov, Shvek. He's hurt. Went down with an injury against Chara. Felt awkward. I still don't know what it is exactly. Rod said he's probably not going to be back. Bruins are up 2-1 in that series. McKinnon has been McKinnon for the Avalanche in their series against the Coyotes. However, the Coyotes got their first win in the playoffs since 2012, which is the last time they were in the playoffs, actually. So, big win for them. Maybe they can get back into the series. It's 2-1 in that series as well. And, of course, yesterday, shout out to the Vegas Golden Knights, who are one of the best expansion teams I can remember. I can't really remember an expansion team being this good. But, conference, they've got 2 division titles. They've been in existence for 3 years. 3 playoff appearances, 2 division titles, 1 conference championship. And they're up 3-1 against the Chicago Blackhawks, who are in what I think is one of their last stands with the Taves, Kane, Keith. And I guess I have to say, after his performance in an elimination game yesterday, Corey Crawford, who saved 46 of 47 shots, which is insane. He got all 3 stars by NBC. But yeah, Vegas has been phenomenal for an expansion team. Chicago's last stand. We'll see if they can pull off the unbelievable and come back from a 3-0 lead. All right, and that covers all of the major topics I got. Everything on the wheel. I'm also running out of battery, but we good. We good. So, before I end, we're going to end with a little roundup of some of the other stuff going on. The MLB, Mike Trout, after that slow start, the best player on the planet, is back to doing the best player on the planet stuff. He's at 9 home runs, I think, right now, tied for the league lead with Aaron Judge and Fernando Tatis Jr. The New York Yankees better never, ever, ever send Clint Frazier down. I get his defense, but he made a great catch 2 games ago. The Yankees, who have won they've won 9 straight against the Red Sox, who are down bad. Missing people on the staff. They got rid of Mookie. Red Sox are awful, it appears, this year. Yankees doing pretty well. Clint Frazier, again, don't ever send him back. Judge on the IL or the DL. It's the IL. It's the IL, yeah. It's the IL. Him and Stanton, Yankees dealing with injuries again. You know how this goes. But yeah, Frazier, I think his defense has gotten better, to be honest. And of course, he's always had a great bat. At the very least, he can be DH. Please keep Clint Frazier up. He also has a pretty cool look with the mask. That's dope. In golf, one that hits home, as it was literally up the street here in Greensboro, the Wyndham Championship, Jim Herman beat Billy Horschel by a stroke in the Wyndham Championship. Herschel folded like a lawn chair on that last hole. Missed the playoff. Could have sent it to a playoff. Missed it by an inch. Herman gets a good win. Very, very happy they were able to get it off. It's been raining a lot here in Greensboro, so yeah. And of course, last but certainly not least, as we saw, the Big Ten decided to push back to the spring. So did the Pac-12. Everybody else kind of staying pat here. Justin Fields not a happy camper. He has started an online petition, which has gotten over 100,000 signatures as of yesterday. We'll see how that goes. I don't really know. Tough situation for him. I know he wants to play. All the college football players that I know, they want to play. Everybody wants to play. Just got to figure out a way to do it. And in some big news, the number one recruit in the class of 2021, which is the junior class for those that need help in verbalizing and imagining this, Quinn Ewers, the man that can throw a 70-yard and 85-yard bomb, as shown on Max Preps, the number one quarterback in the nation and number one recruit in the nation, has committed to Texas. We'll see if it sticks. Usually, however, quarterback commitments tend to stick, I think, a little bit more than other commitments. Of course, he's from Texas. He's rocking that great blonde mullet that makes him look like a teen movie villain. But he's also one of 6 players to ever have a perfect 1,000 rating on the 24/7 composite. So possibly a generational quarterback here for Texas. That'd be huge. Huge for Tom Herman. We'll see if it sticks. He's a great player. If you haven't seen his highlights, definitely go check it out. He's a beast. But yeah, with that said, that about wraps it up here. Once again, you're probably hearing the outro music right about now. My battery's about to die. One last Dasani. Please sponsor me. Sponsor the boy. One last water break. Thank you for watching. Again, felt a lot more comfortable this episode, and we're getting better. Flowing a lot more better, a lot more structure. Again, leave feedback. Tell me what you want to hear from. Tell me what you want to see. All of my people going back to college, once again, stay safe, stay healthy. I go back September 5th. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching the A15 Exchange. Ocho, signing off.